Hi everyone, welcome to today's video where we'll be looking at the relationship between true nature and the mind-body field. And what I'd like to share with you today is a bit about the vantage point from deep within the body. You might call it presencing the body, where we turn our attention deeply inwards and we meet what we contain. And very often that isn't a feeling of our own light, that's a feeling of our pain, our contraction, or our constructs. That is, those strategies we use to survive, those ways we believe we need to have currency in the world. They mirror things that we see in the media, that we see around us in society, and things we were taught as children. They also mirror things that we have been doing and believing for thousands of years. These are not recent inventions. So we may meet thought forms that we have carried since ancient Egypt, or even since Atlantis, because these thought forms have very deep roots. And yet at the bottom of all of those strategies, beliefs and attitudes and emotional reactions, we find something very simple, a core wounding, a core misperception of reality. And I unwrap this in the third part of my book, Transcendence, Journey of the Soul. So you can read more about it there if you'd like to do that. What I'll be sharing today is my living experience of how that has operated in my body, in my mind-body field, and how I've seen it operating in those people for whom I've done intuitive readings and worked together with them as a healer, sometimes over 10 or 20 years. So I'm very familiar with this original wounding, this original trauma. And it's been my life's journey to get to the bottom of it, to understand how to heal it. It's my heart's longing. And in recent times, in recent months, I've gone to a new level of understanding of that trauma and how we can heal and transform it. So just this morning, I was sitting with that level in myself and remembering memories of being about 3 years old and being in a daycare situation, which was unusual for me. I wasn't normally in daycare. I was at a holiday camp and my parents were out doing other things. And for once, I was in a daycare setting, and I was a very shy child, a very introverted child. And I remember standing at the edge of the room and seeing a little stuffed dog on wheels, the kind that when you're a toddler, you hold on to a little frame and you push along this little toy and it helps you stand up. And in this situation, this was a little stuffed dog on wheels with a handle that you could hold on to. And I deliberated for a really long time about whether or not I was going to walk across that room, which was very scary for me. And I was going to grab that handle and I was going to play with that little dog on wheels. And it started meaning more and more to me in my heart. And just as I got up enough courage to walk across the room, another child scooted across in front of me, full of confidence and gusto, and grabbed hold of that dog and wheeled it away. And I remember feeling so defeated and deflated. And I could feel my core belief in my body, though I would not have articulated it in this way at that time because I was so young, that life was so rough and harsh and powerful people got what they wanted and mild people just got overwhelmed and missed out. on having what they needed. And in that, there are echoes of past lives that I've had where that has happened for me on a really dramatic scale. And I've seen it happen for others. And so it was a story where I was being shown evidence of a world that was difficult, a world where I couldn't get my needs met, and a world where I had decided I didn't want to fight to get my needs met anymore. But the end result was that I was feeling defeated, and really going into freeze and fold, while other people around me were more in a fight energy. It was still the same drama. We were just playing different characters in that drama. And at different stages in my healing journey, I've really realized that, like deeply in the body, realized that game, that drama, and been working with that contraction in me that either goes into fight, into flight, or into freeze and fold. And how do I get off that treadmill? What is it that changes that once and for all? And so in meditation, in healing, and in some very, very profound, life-changing spiritual experiences, I've experienced different states that are not that treadmill, but they come and go. So I open up and have this amazing experience of the love that carries me and the light that I am. And then it's like the clouds would come over the face of the sun again. And I'd be back in fight and flight and freeze and fold. Drat, darn it, here I am again on the treadmill. I saw a beautiful video yesterday of a performance artist who illustrated this by climbing up steps and then falling onto a trampoline and then bouncing back up and falling down and bouncing back up and going up and down the steps until at the very end, he ends up at the top of the staircase, very calm, very complete. But the dramatic journey to get there in the video is just, you don't even need words to understand that. You can see that he's illustrating the human journey, the hero's journey of healing, transforming, and awakening. So how has that been for me, and how does that connect to today? That one of the missing ingredients for me was love for myself. And that love has been something I've needed to embrace as an idea, then as an attitude, then as an emotion, and then finally as a visceral experience in my body that allows my light to come through without a contraction preventing it from doing so. And this is really deep. This is right at the core of why we have these moments of epiphany, but they don't hold. These moments of awakening, but then the clouds come over the sun again. Is that this core contraction, which exists really, really deep in, near our column of light, right at the roots of our chakra system, it's been there since the time of Atlantis, is still operating. And it just depends whether it's triggered or not. So if we're sitting out in nature and we feel completely safe and trusting and innocent and curious about what is around us, that contraction falls away and we can have deeply spiritual experiences. But if we're in a situation, say in our workplace, where we feel a little bit defeated or threatened, or where we feel we need to use our currency to bargain for a position which gives us more comfort in our lives, then the clouds come over the face of the sun again, and that contraction activates, it reactivates, and it's actually always there inherently until we're fully self-realized. And part of our journey is to love ourselves anyway, even while we still feel like a work in progress. When we're in that light, the light of our true nature, which exists beyond time, we are timeless and we don't experience fear. We don't need currency. We don't have baggage. We're not wounded. Nothing of time has ever touched or damaged that place. And that light is coming into a field, a body and mind-body field that operates on wounding, that has identities based on wounding and on fear. That original wound is simply a contraction based on a mistrust of the process of individualization. And it occurred a long, long time ago and became encoded into the experience of planet Earth, the life process of planet Earth, and into us when we incarnate in earthly bodies. So we're all born with that contraction to some degree inherently in the way our matter operates. You could say it's a kind of primitive mechanism that is in our body. It is also an existential fear that existed prior to the earth being created. Now, I know this stretches the imagination somewhat. This leads us into the world of the great creative angels and the creator consciousness. But just know that this contraction, this fear that you feel, this defendedness that you have to work with in your daily life is not your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's an instinctive fear reaction to the process of incarnation. It's like a fear of being born into the toroidal flow framework of our mind-body field as it exists in the human experience. It's so different to how an angelic field operates, which has no field boundary, which has no edges, which has no mirror. If you'd like to imagine with me now that as an angel, when light, creative light consciousness, love consciousness flows through you, it flows through a seamless substrate. It doesn't meet obstacles and it doesn't get reflected back. There's no self-reflective mechanism. Therefore, there's no individuation. But there is great beauty, great love. In our toroidal framework, our bubble of awareness that we occupy as an individualized being, whether we have a physical body or not. I'll be talking about that in later videos. We don't have to have a physical body to have that experience. In our toroidal framework, we have a mirror function so that when light passes through us, through our chakra system from our core, it hits the edge of our field and it bounces back. And it sends back to us what we send out. So if our chakra system was completely clear of this contraction, if the love light moved as it does in an angel, unobstructed, with no thought forms, then what would be reflected back to us would carry only that quality. So we would live in the world of the good, the beautiful, and the true. And what's happening inside us, because we contain this contraction deeply around our core light, in the mind-body field, within time, when our light comes through our core, through our column of light into the roots of the chakras, it carries a subtle quality of that contraction, which is doubt and fear. Because of the mirror mechanism, as it comes through and bounces back, it reflects our fears back to us, whatever they are. And because it's self-generating, and because it's cumulative, the more we reflect fear back to ourselves, the more we believe in that evidence, the more we encode that fear into our system. So the worse the fear appears the next time it's reflected back to us. If you hear some scratching around here at the moment, it's my cat. The cat that was lost for 11 weeks and miraculously found again. And he now lives in my office. Most of the time he's up on the top shelf, sleeping during the day, and then he comes out at night to get more love from all the people in the house. So if you hear noises, it's either family in the background or it's my cat, who is now apparently my muse. And I noticed there's a pun in that. He is my muse. So where was I? So yes, so because we have an inherent contraction of fear in that deep level of our mind-body field, it colors what comes through us. There is nothing wrong with us. We're not broken. We are the light that is coming through our field. But our field is a bit like a pasta maker. So if you put dough into a pasta maker and it's got a setting to make spiral pasta, when you turn that wheel and you push that dough through the pasta maker, it comes out in the form of spirals. So our energy field is like that. Whatever we put into our chakras as coding shapes the light that's passing through us. So we're like angels. We are literally angels in embodiment. Inside a torus that reflects our creations back to us. So on Earth, we've become addicted to fear-based creations, to how they feel in our body biochemically and neurologically, how they appear astrally or emotionally in our imagination. We've become addicted to attitudes or constructs that we hold, beliefs that we hold around what we're making and what other people are making. And so here is the paradox, that when we begin to wake up, we are waking up inside a collective agreement to make a fearful reality. And there's plenty of evidence around us of a fearful reality, of lack, limitation, illness, conflict, warfare, loneliness. And our awakening, our liberation, requires that we detach from that. Not in a rejecting way, but that we release those constructs and those energy forms within us, which are now our responsibility. Just our own ones are our responsibility. And we return them to our light. To do that, we have to give primacy to our light. We have to feel it, see it, know it, intend it, and lean into it with greater intensity, if you like, than we lean in to our thought forms, our reactions, and our bodily sensations of suffering. Every time we have an adrenaline, a cortisol response, our body suffers. Every time we lean into our light, our body experiences bliss. It is really that simple in principle. In practice, we have a large weight of energy, intention, and emphasis in the world of duality, and only a tiny amount of trust in the world of our light. We will only heal, and the world will only heal when we shift that emphasis. And in the beginning, we simply have to do that as a choice in how we think, how we feel, how we behave, and most of all, what we intend for ourselves. And we can only really intend it for ourselves, because within the field of our torus, there is this self-reflective mechanism. It is quantum entangled with the rest of the universe, with every other point of light consciousness on the planet. But we only have responsibility for our own sphere of creation. And for most of us, that is a big lesson, that we feel we have to rescue the world from its suffering, when we only have to rescue ourselves from our own suffering. And through that resonance, we contribute to the world field, the truth of who we are. So I'd like to invite you to join me and Rama on the 2nd of July for an earth healing meditation training. It's called World Healing Meditation, and it's based on the principles of internal awakening rather than planetary rescuing. So it represents a fundamental shift in the way we relate to helping the world to heal. I look forward to seeing you there. And in the meantime, may you enjoy the peace of the presence that is within you and the bliss of your being. Namaste.